Ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful to General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of Army Staff, the key figure in the conduct of Operation Sindoor, which is the subject of our book. Also, we are honored to have the discussants, Mr. Nitin Gokhale as mentioned, and Professor Shalini Chawla. My co-authors, M. Marshal Rajesh and Ambassador Anil Trigunet, and in absentia, Brigadier Bhargav, and our publisher, Mr. Nair. We together are very grateful to the audience who spent their valuable time to be here with us on this occasion. We'd also like to thank some of our eminent reviewers. We have ex-CNC and Mr. E.B. Singh. Not with us, of course, my former DG NSG, Mr. Sudeep Lakhtakia, as he turned up. He is due to come from the GMR airport. General Bhatia, former DGMO, he couldn't be here. Okay. So firstly, about the making of the book. It must be curious to you as to how this all went about. So very soon after the cessation of hostilities on 10th of May, there was a rumble in the media about things, and Mr. Nair reached out through a common friend, that is Admiral Ashok Kumar, that can we do this project? So I agreed to undertake the project, but I felt I need to draw in some more domain experts to help me. So in the last few years, all over in the military circles and the media, there is talk of multi-domain operations. Now, I have drawn in multi-domain experts because I am giving you a multi-domain book about a multi-domain operation, that is Sindoor. So that's how it starts. That's how it all started. And for our research, we held multiple interactions with the CDS, all three services. We met Ambassador Pankaj Saran from the NSAB for the military and diplomatic aspects of the operation, which enriched our understanding and guided our research. So therefore, what is really important about our book, I think, is that it is based largely on authentic inputs, and there are multiple domains of expertise drawn in. What we hope to give you is an authentic account, an accurate chronicle with some critical analysis, decoding the clutter. And there was a lot of clutter, as you're all aware. The study will also make some recommendations relating to India's preparedness and security apparatus for handling future conflicts. Now, something about the contents. What may you expect to find in the book? The trajectory of terrorism in Kashmir and partly the rest of India is covered in chapter 1. There is a graph on page 3 which you may like to see. The induction of foreign terrorists from places as far away as Sudan and Chechnya, and of course Afghanistan, who came out of the Afghan war and were pumped into Kashmir, is covered in Annexure A, that is on page 22. So the various aspects of the Kashmir issue. The Zafar Express hijack of 11th March 25 is covered here, where Pakistan blamed India and Afghanistan for this train hijack, the famous train hijack. It actually India and Afghanistan denied, and we had nothing to do with it. But ethnic profiling was done, and over 70 women and children were released. And then, the events unfolded. It's there in the book. Chapter 2 now covers Pahalgam, the incident in detail, where, as you're aware, religious profiling was done, the entire incident, and its follow-up investigations are covered here. Thereafter, we move on to the Chronicle of Sindoor. From 22nd April to 10th June, that is chapter 3, with authentic details researched and recorded. The role of the Indian Navy and the cyber war is also covered in this chapter. The air and nuclear aspects are covered in the next chapter. We'll hear more about it in the 5-side with M. Marshal Rajesh, who has helped us with this chapter. He's been CNC SFC as well as the Central Air Command. Pounding the earth and guarding the skies, that is the next chapter. The Indian Army in Sindoor. So Brigadier Bhargav has helped me with this chapter. He's not here today. But here we also record the 7 targets struck by Indian Army and 2 targets struck by Indian Air Force on the very first night, that is 6th and 7th night. Also the use of Indian Navy loiter munitions, for which the Navy Marcos were forward deployed and succeeded in destroying some of the targets in conjunction with the Army and the Air Force. So a truly tri-service effort it was. When on 7th Jan at 1:51 a.m. in the morning, the post by Indian Army proclaimed, "Justice is served." All the details are chronicled here for posterity. We also cover here the intense battle along the LOC, where a lot of action took place with photographs. Media coverage did not focus so much on the battle of the LC along the line of control because they were all in remote areas. So we tried to capture that and put it in our book. The geopolitics and the Indus Waters Treaty are expounded in chapter 6, where we draw upon the experience of Ambassador Anil Trigunet. We'll discuss more about it later, but this is one of the very few, or at least to my knowledge, the first co-authored book between diplomats and military experts. So I'm going to claim a record on that. Finally, we draw some conclusions. And make some recommendations in the last 2 chapters. Importance here is the issue of the narrative battle and the information warfare. It's covered in detail. We conclude that there was excessive chatter on Indian media, vis-a-vis a comparative lesser discussion of the Indian side on the international media. Maybe this needs some modification, we feel. In fact, some analysts have opined that Pakistan was able to swing the Western perception away from terrorism to the Kashmir issue. Much has already been written on this. Some of this we have quoted, and our book recommends a structured central authority with mandate and financing to fight this battle better. Balancing speed and credibility with a more interactive approach is what we feel. And in fact, yesterday, the Army's ADG Stratcom at the Air Force Auditorium in a public discourse also mentioned that we need a central authority at the national level for the cognitive battle. It's not because he read my book, of course he read my book, but I think our book captures the need of the hour. Next important issue, the evolution of doctrine from cold start to dynamic response. The former Chief of Army Staff, General Vij, last year, not very long back, has published his book Alone in the Ring. And there's a full chapter on cold start. And this has come out 20 years after cold start was formulated. For the first time, it is formally declared. We trace the evolution from 80 onwards, where General Vij has mentioned about the Sundarji doctrine, but he didn't name it so. He named the earlier doctrine, then the cold start doctrine, and now dynamic response, as the authors surmise, was developed in the time period 2016-17. So it manifested in Balapur 2019 and of Sindoor 2025. Only 8 years after it was formulated, it is elucidated in our book, and I think for the first time. Well, peace with Pakistan and the effectiveness of our deterrence we have tried to cover. Pakistan has been running with the hares and hunting with the hounds for long. We cover this in detail. How Pakistan plays on a victim card, its geostrategic location, its Islamic identity, to get support from various nations in an elaborate dance of geopolitics. We conclude that the flow of Indus will continue to be turbulent as it runs from the roof of the world through the Indian subcontinent into the Arabian Sea, and India needs to keep its powder dry. As we continue in a no war, no peace scenario. However, what I have not put in the book, the surgical strikes of Uri 2016 bought us 3 years. 2019. 2019, Balakot got us 6 years, 2025. I hope Op Sindoor should give us at least 5 years, it's my own opinion. And so we hope the success of our deterrence. However, dynamic response is about raising costs. There is no such thing as a 100% foolproof deterrence. Next issue, the new normal. It's not binding us into a knee-jerk reaction. This has been mentioned many times, and I think events are possibly proving the theories we put in the book. Where our book has tried to cover multiple domains in detail and provide pragmatic recommendations that could supplement the growing body of strategic thought in the country, as mentioned by the Chief of Army Staff in his erudite foreword for our book. We are extremely grateful that the Chief has written the foreword. So we bring to you a well-researched volume with credible sources. Before I end, I must acknowledge the efforts of all our authors, about Konark Publishers, Mr. Nair and his team, my friends and colleagues who helped to shape the book. Colonel Vivek Chadda from IDSA, MPIDSA for the structure of the book, Dr. Ashok Behuria who helped to curate chapter 1, Ms. Rika Dixit, she helped me to reshape chapter 2 Pahalgam and also helped to curate the title. Ms. Vranda Sharma, she's here. She helped make the basic chronicle of events in chapter 3 and many others who helped in this effort. We acknowledge the support of the Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, and the CDS in the making of the book. In particularly AD Stratcom and his rep, in fact, Daya are sitting here, and General Shavda. Finally, I thank my wife Anita for her support throughout this challenging project. We hope you find our book purposeful, just as we found purpose in writing it. Thank you and Jai Hind.